In the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty's off today, Scotty. So it's just you and me. Ty is a little bit sick, under the weather this morning with a stomach bug, and it's just you and me, me and you, the two of us together.
Yeah, I guess when there's no tie, you're just stuck with me. That's just how
It's
it
not
is.
stuck, Scotty. It's a great place to be. I'm going to put the Greenwood logo on the top of our screen because we are always brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Scotty, you had some fun last night and this week. What's been on your mind?
I did have a lot of fun. Monday we had a golf outing.
Yes.
For GABA camp, so that was a nice change up and a great fundraiser for GABA camp on Monday. Yeah, I really, and even more so with Brian Tonar being a part of this show, I've really become like, I know I can't golf, but just like sitting there and watching other people golf, there's just something about it, especially the putting. So I'm becoming more and more of a golf fan by the day.
What do you think is, from your perspective, you get to watch a lot, you get to watch people struggle. What's the hardest part about golf?
I don't know. To me, like it seems like the hardest part would be like not over swinging, because I think people they drive the ball and they want to drive it like Happy Gilmore, like take that huge like hack at it, and I think it just seems like to me it'd be more difficult than even like having a good short game. But yeah, I guess you could get in your head a lot too, and you got nobody to pick you up. We talked about it before. In golf, it's just you. So
Just you.
it's such a mental grind every shot.
Not too many other sports that are like that. Like, it's literally just you.
Yeah.
Even in tennis, like, you can have your opponent make a mistake. If you make a mistake, like, they cannot take advantage of it. I guess you could consider like swimming and track and cross country, those kind of sports individual, but like even in those sports, you have relays, you have your teammates that even if you're not in a relay that are cheering you on, have your back and can help you as soon as you get out of the pool on what you were doing wrong. Golf, it's like you and just you, and you're on this like 18-hole island.
Yeah. It's like
Can you imagine the guy that invented golf? He's sitting there. Excuse me. How sadistic he must have been.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
No,
Pretty.
we're gonna take this little golf ball and we're gonna put it in a hole hundreds of yards away,
Yeah.
and we're gonna put little obstacles in your way. So
Pretty menacing, I'd say.
we're gonna put this little patch of flat grass there just to give you a little bit of hope that you can get it.
Yeah.
And then, can do this one time? No, man, 18 times.
Yeah, and it's not like what was that game? I think it was Top Shots Golf or
Right.
Tiger Woods. It's not like that. So, yeah, man, it's you have to be really mentally
Speaking from
strong.
two people that obviously don't golf that much.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to go through the mental aspects of what we see from our perspective. Someone else that is having a pretty good day is going to be a guest that we are just getting on. McKenna Hogan just committed to go on to a future endeavors. Not going to take that moment away from her. McKenna, thank you for joining us, and I know you got some news to break. Why don't you take the time and tell everyone what news you're breaking today?
So I just committed to Notre Dame University.
Yes. One, before we go anywhere, like, congratulations on that. I know it's a process recruiting wise. What made the decision easy for you, and what kind of things led you to Notre Dame University?
Well, first off, I was looking more academically. So I want to go into the nursing field. And so being at Notre Dame, they're in Cleveland, so very close to major hospitals, which is great for me. But then going on a visit and talking to the coaches, they were so easy to talk to and approachable, and they just had the coaching style that I've been looking for. And it was just a perfect fit.
You go on that visit, like you said. What were some takeaways that you had from it? And was there a moment on that visit that made you kind of lock into, like, this is going to be where I want to go?
There was multiple moments on that visit. First, just looking at the buildings and seeing the nursing side of it and seeing like the classrooms and what they have for nursing. It was a big eye opener and something I was really excited for. And then after touring the campus, I got to talk to the coaches, and just talking to them, I felt like at home, and it was like a perfect fit for me. The coaches were so nice, Coach Stopp and Coach Coleman. And then went to see the field, and it's a turf field, which I'm used to, obviously, being at Fitch. And then it was just perfect, and I knew that's where I wanted to be.
You know, when you were kind of going through this recruiting process, I'm sure you had an idea in your mind of what kind of coach you were looking for. What kind of qualities were you looking for, and what kind of things did this coach meet those qualities?
Definitely being able to get on me and yell at me when I need it, but also being able to get to know me as a player and as a person, specifically. And Coach Stopp and Coach Coleman, both, they said they wanted to get to know me. They asked me, first question they asked me if I had siblings, and obviously I have a brother, so I was telling her that, and she asked me questions about him, and so she's getting to know me personally. And then came the questions about softball. So then they got to know me personally and as an athlete, which is something I really wanted.
Obviously, your travel ball and your summer ball have really helped you out in this recruiting process. What was this season like? I know you're on the Honey Badgers team, which played a very tough, almost premier schedule. What was that like for you, and how much did it kind of prepare you for what you're going to see when you do go to the next level?
It definitely prepared me playing a lot of very good teams and very good girls. Definitely faster, so that challenged me as a catcher, being able to throw them out, and the pitchers are getting faster, being able to catch them, so that just helped with my quickness, and so that helped a lot. And then just being able to see a lot of different girls and a lot of different coaching styles, because even though I'm not playing for the team, you can still see how other coaches coach just by playing against them. So that was a big thing to help me. Just playing against the higher level girls, it just really helped me prepare for the next level.
I just had one question for you as well. I wanted to know, like, what do you do? Because obviously you're going to have plenty of pressure-packed situations now at Notre Dame. You've had pressure-packed situations already. Is there anything, like one really big thing that's your biggest vice? Is it, music? Does that kind of calm the nerves a little bit? What do you do to kind of get into that zone and be the best that you can be not only when you're on the field, but off of it as well.
Yeah, definitely mentally preparing myself before every game. Um, that's the big thing I do. I just, because obviously I get nervous for every game. And so then I just mentally prepare myself and talk to myself and just let myself know that I've worked hard for this and I can do it. So that's one thing, just mentally preparing myself. But then to calm myself down, because that sometimes makes me even more nervous. I do listen to music a lot before games just to get in the zone.
Now, because you're committed, you don't have to deal with the pressures of the recruiting process next year at Fit. How much of a blessing do you think that's going to be for you to just have complete focus on the team and not have to have impressing college coaches in the back of your head next year?
It's just a huge relief. I know as much as you try not to think about it, like if you see a college coach in the stands, you still try to, do your best. But you always try to do your best, but you just try that just a little bit more. So being able to relax and play my game, it's just such a big relief.
Who was your first text when you committed? Who was the first person you had to let know that you were going to play for Notre Dame?
I called my dad first. He was at work, so first person I called was my dad.
And we know and love him. What was like? Take us through that reaction, that phone call.
He was very shocked. He didn't think I was gonna do it that quickly because I just went on the visit. But I sent her an email and I've been texting her and letting her know. And then I called him. I committed, and then he was just in complete shock. Didn't know what to say.
There he is.
There
In
he
the comment section showing you some love. We're so proud of you. We can't wait to continue our coverage of you next season. Now, before we let you go, what is the thing you are looking forward to the most the next season with Austin Townfit?
Just
Oh no.
there we go. Sorry. Just being able to grow with the team. It's gonna be such a great season with all the girls. So I'm just so excited to grow with them and learn and bring in all the new freshmen.
Ken, congratulations on your commitment. We're so proud of you here at YSN. We continue to watch you grow, and we can't wait to cover you again next year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
McKenna Hogan commits to Notre Dame College, and she was gracious enough to take some time to hop on with us today. Scotty, we talk about it all the time. We've had conversations on YSN about it all the time. Taking a step to the next level is a big moment, no matter what level you're going to. It's another coach that has a job that is dependent on winning, handpicking you to be on his team, his or her team.
Yeah, it's a gigantic moment, and even more so, I think going to not to lessen the significance of someone going to a small college, but when you talk about Notre Dame,
Now, pause, Scotty, just so you and everyone else knows, this is not the Notre Dame like University in Indiana, big gold dome. This is Notre Dame College, which is in Cleveland. So to square up some confusion with everybody. I know that gets it's the same thing when people commit to Cal U over in Pennsylvania, and they're like, "Oh man, you committed to Cal Berkeley."
I feel
no, it happens to everyone. You're good. I just wanted to clear up confusion for everyone that's watching.
Okay. Well, I'll let you take it after that mistake.
You're good. So the point is though, Scotty, it's still a college softball team. So it's still, like I said, a coach whose job is dependent on them winning or losing, saying that we want you a part of our team. We handpicked. In high school, yes, there are tryouts. Yes, you have to make the team. There are cuts, but the coach's job isn't necessarily completely dependent on whether or not they win or lose. And now it is. And now it's saying that, like, I am putting the stake of my job into this pick of you to come to our college.
And then everyone once you get to this level, it's like you're not really like everyone. If you get picked out as, a special person to be a part of something that big, like everybody has talent. So that's why I was just very curious, like how she's able to, because the nerves are always going to be there, but how you handle the nerves, and people using the nerves as good and having the good butterflies, or sometimes nerves can be a bad thing. But it seems like she has a very level head on her shoulders, a lot of talent, obviously. So I think that, um, to me, I would make it more simple and just do, try to do what I've done all along. But it is like interesting because, like you said, Anthony, a lot of times on the high school level, if a coach is, you know, not necessarily winning every game, but if they build a decent program, they could kind of build capital where they have a long leash. Now that leash isn't so long, so everybody's got to deal with the pressure. But she seems like she's gonna tackle it with authority and be just fine.
One of the things that you'll learn when you go into college, and everyone's handpicked, so you're not the big fish in the little pond anymore. You're kind of a small fish in a bunch of, I should say you're still the big fish. You're just with a lot of other big fish, and the pool of water is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the interesting things is seeing how kids develop that mindset of everyone that is here, either on my team or that I'm playing against, is also handpicked by a coach to come and be on that team.
So yeah, they've all got something, unique in them that the coach saw that made them stand out. So it's man, that has to be like, I try to imagine it in my head, but that doesn't do it justice whatsoever. It has to be such a thrill that to be wanted by a school, a university like that. Uh, because in high school, not that you're not wanted. Obviously, if you're good on and off the floor, good with the academics, like you're gonna definitely, any barriers that there may be, you could break through them, and you could definitely show that you're a leader and build up your character in high school. But when you're talking about the next level, um, there's only so many people that get chances like that. So anytime we get to showcase somebody that continues to, just be great on and off the field, that's what makes me happy, man. Because uh, DJ talks about it all the time, like, ESPN, uh, FS1, any of those. Like, it's easy to talk about. Anybody could talk about the everything nationals that's going on, but to give kids locally, give them really a spotlight, put the spotlight on them. That's what we're all about here.
Yeah, I think to your point is like when you look at ESPN, FS1, all those sports networks, what they cover, their pool of coverage is huge, right? So the effort they have to put in to find stuff is also, they can just boop 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 boop. Anytime you shrink that coverage, whether you go from ESPN to, let's say, your local Valley Sports, and then you go from that to maybe your even micro local news station, the ring that you get to grab stuff from gets smaller and smaller. So that's why it's kind of easier to just talk about national stuff, because you can just go on and say, hey, Tom Brady, hey, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, maybe not them. Maybe we'll shoot up to LA and talk about the Rams for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot in that pool.
Yeah.
Not a lot in the pool when you make yourself harder and you start to shrink that circle of coverage.
And I think that's what definitely makes it more special, for sure. but I was just wondering, Anthony, and it was great to lead off the show today with the interview. But what, as far as on the field, I mean, what has impressed you the most about her?
McKenna.
Yeah.
The most impressive thing I could say about McKenna Hogan is her ability to manage pitchers and manage pitching staffs. It goes under the radar for catchers. It's not something that people look at. It's not something that stats will show, that's for sure. But she has had under her realm two, well, I should say, one official Division One Power 5 pitcher and one that's going to go Division One easily in Sydney Watts. I mean, it's just a matter of time. But she's had two, Division One caliber pitchers that she's been kind of in charge of and kind of, trying to build that relationship with them. And I think they would both say that there's no one they'd rather pitch to than McKenna Hogan. So that being said, it's a special trait for a catcher to be able to mold and bond and build relationships with a pitcher. And it doesn't happen often in this high school realm.
And it's like I feel like catchers. We talked about it. I think me and DJ discussed it from his days when he was a catcher, and I think it was when he was going to high school. But I feel like catchers nowadays on all levels, they're not maybe, at least the really good ones that are not just good behind the plate, but great working the pitching staff. They don't get as recognized as maybe they did before. You got like in an example at the highest level when you talk about like Major League Baseball. Like a lot of people, they'll look at certain catchers and they're like, well, they're not hitting for the same power numbers or the same average, but they don't take into account how they work the pitching staff and how good they are, throwing opposing runners, their percentage behind the plate, throwing opposing runners at, and they get beat up a lot. Like that's a tough position to be in for several hours. It's tough on the knees. So I feel like they kind of lately as much. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like catchers don't get the just due that they did years ago on any level, really. So it was really good to have her on.
Yeah, I mean, great opportunity, and not the last commitment that we'll probably see in the summer as teams, both baseball and softball, wrap up their travel season and start to get the talks with their college coaches, the ones that are going from junior to senior year. Obviously, that's as early as you can talk to a player now. You can't talk and commit before your junior season anymore, which is a whole other conversation to have because it used to be, Scott. I don't know if we've had you a part of this conversation. If you know this. Not too long ago, especially for softball, you could commit before you even took a step on your high school varsity field.
Wow, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, they used to be the wild, wild west in softball recruiting. There were kids recruiting in 7th grade. Like, yeah, I'll go to Alabama.
Did you? I mean, how do you feel? Like, did you like that better? No.
And it was a catch-22 because all the coaches kind of understood that it was wrong. But because it was the reality, they had to do it or else they'd lose players, right? So like if they refuse to do it, someone else is going to, and then they're not going to be able to put up a good program. So they kind of had to do it, but they also realized that we can't ask a 12-year-old where they want to go to college.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
So it was a brilliant move because the NFCA, which is the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, they came out and they just kind of pleaded their case with the NCAA, and a lot of NCAA coaches were a part of it and said, this is not healthy. We have to amend these rules. And the NCAA listed, and now you can't commit until you're going into your senior season.
What do you think in your opinion for like the catchers and the softball play, like what do you think is when they're out there in game action, what do you pay attention to the most? Is it their work behind the plate with their pitchers, or is it more what they bring to the table with the lineup offensively? Because you talked about her ability to work with great pitchers and how they really respected her. Do you think that's kind of become more significant on the high school level in softball, the work behind the plate, than what they actually do when they're up to bat?
I think when especially if you're blind watching a catcher and you say in softball and you say, I want to see how good this catcher is. I think there's like a list of tiers, things that you try to see like, can do this, can do this, can do this. Obviously, receiving the ball is one, right? Can they catch it and frame it and not have the glove go wild? Can they set a target for their pitcher? Things like that. And then can they block? Can they move behind the plate instead of just dropping to their knees and hoping that the ball hits them? Do they have good technique? What's their pop time? That's a good stat for a catcher. Pop time, right? The time between the pop it hits your glove and the time it hits the pop of your fielder's glove that you're trying to throw down to. So what's their pop time to second? And one of the things after all of that, you get through all that, and then when coaches go and they know all that by a catcher, I think what they're really looking at is what they do in between pitches, what they do in between innings. How are they leading the infield? How are they calling out, what the situation is? And then how are they handling the throwdowns and the stuff that can become kind of monotonous to the catchers that aren't devoted to the sport? How are they handling those kind of situations? And I think those can be difference makers when coaches might be mulling between two different catchers, and one takes the between inning warm up super seriously and does her throwdowns, and the other one just kind of goes through the motions. I think that's kind of one of the things that can be a deal breaker.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting stuff.
I've asked a couple of college coaches. They also like to know how fast you get your equipment on and get out of the dugout, because they don't like it when they see, another catcher have to come out and warm up the pitcher for their whole warm up because you're taking time to just kind of lazily put your equipment on.
Oh, okay. Like in between.
I know. Like you just bat. Like how fast can you just, let go of your at bat and just put on the equipment and get out there and try to warm up your pitcher?
Yeah. Well, that makes me wonder too. Like, if somebody has if they're upset with their at bat, if they have a bad at bat, it's almost like you think they're probably going to be more prone to be delaying, getting out there too.
If you're frustrated, you don't work efficient. Like I'm sure you've been super upset about something in your life, right? Like you've been mad before.
Yeah, for sure. I
have you noticed that when you're really upset, your motor skills don't really go where you want them to go?
For sure. Like if something is like really, really bothering me, like I kind of get that. I get a feeling in my chest. Things get like tighter, and I'm just not as productive. Like I just can't focus like I normally would.
I remember one time we were leaving the house. I don't remember. It was so stupid. I don't even remember what made me so upset, but I was really angry. And like, try to tie your shoes while you're angry. It didn't, like, I couldn't make the loop. It wasn't looping, which made me more upset, which made it even harder. So, like, you got to be able, and obviously there's a lot of straps, there's a lot of stuff you have to do to put catcher's equipment on. So you have to be able to just take that Zen breath, and just kind of center yourself and be able to put that equipment on as fast as possible.
Yeah. Sometimes I do, like, I I have to, that's important because like I'll start to, if something's really bugging me, like sometimes panic will set in and
Yep.
I kind of turn into like a hypocon, like am I breathing right? Like I'm all disoriented.
Oh God, I got something wrong. Yeah, like but it's funny how like when your body, whether it be anger or some other emotion, like if your body is focused on one thing, the other things kind of go away. Like your brain can't do motor skills while it's embarrassed or while it's angry or while it's in a rush, whatever it may be. I think that's why so many people kind of forget things, because their brain gets them in such a rush they can't really think. I have to grab my keys on the table. You know, it gets tunnel vision almost.
Yeah, that's why it's important to, I guess, always be like trying to prepare as early as you can. Like I always, if a lot's going on, I always say, you know, it's better to like leave early. That's always better. You know, you try to, you know, eventually like things will calm down, but sometimes we get in such a rush where we get caught up in our own head, and then something that's routine that we use every day or do every day, we might forget it. But I always say if you take a couple deep breaths and you just stop and think for a minute, that's always a good exercise.
What's our buddy Mike Bailey always say? A soccer coach who we'll be talking to pretty soon, because soccer season is right around the corner. Stay even. You got to stay even.
Stay even.
Not too high, not too low. Stay in that even course.
Oh, as a Cleveland fan, I always say,
you struggle with staying even, don't you?
I try to say hope for the best, expect the worst. But it doesn't always. I can't always like program that in to think that.
Scotty, you and me are so alike that way, where we struggle riding that roller coaster. You know, we're like, when we're really passionate about something and excited about it, we're like, whoop. But then, like, as soon as something happens, it like isn't. Like, you won't see me wear a Chiefs jersey after they lose, because it's a
Yeah. You said too, you get really like after a loss, like when the Chiefs are winning and those Mahomes commercials come on, it's great. But just like with Baker, when the Browns had Baker, like that year we won, like 2020, all those progressive commercials were hilarious.
Right.
But when you have a losing season like last year, it's like, he's in too many damn commercials.
Baker threw a pick, and then all of a sudden, as their progressive commercial comes on, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Same thing with State Farm. Like if like during that Bengals game, the second half, you had to see State Farm commercials with Patrick Mahomes, and I was like,
although
throw the ball.
No more progressive commercials for Baker now.
Is he still going to be like he doesn't have to drop the sponsorship, right?
He did.
He did?
Because
Progressive was based on him being in Cleveland because they own the.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
That's why. Yeah.
Well, he'll find something else.
Yeah, he'll find.
He's a charismatic dude.
He had Hulu too.
He does have Hulu.
So.
We have a lot of sponsors that we're going to have to take a break from and hear from to pay some bills. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update,
very dangerous,
and on the 21 News social media platforms. 21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists, located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Scotty Minter. And if you are just joining us, Ty is feeling a little bit under the weather, has a little bit of a stomach bug, but we think it's nerves based on the trivia challenge. Scotty.
Yeah, I'm gaining up on Ty now. I think he's getting a little tight. He's getting nervous.
He's not in the comments either, so I don't know. He's not even deflecting you.
No, he isn't. He knows I'm knocking at the door.
You can only delay the inevitable, Scotty. You're gonna get him one of these weeks.
Yeah. Oh, well, I won the 1 week.
You've won 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I have. So, yeah, I'm only what, like 5 behind or something like that.
Unfortunately, we missed you last week because I had the eye doctor's appointment, so I had to work from home. By the way, that's not fun. Go to an eye doctor for an hour just for them to tell you, hey, you're still legally blind.
Yeah, man. God really put out the challenges for you.
You know what he did, but he also put and this is probably true for you too. Because of those challenges, I'm able to impact more people because they see how I respond to it.
That's
So,
right. That's the bright side of it.
That's right. When everyone say they joke or they say like, "Man, God put you in a really tough spot," I go, "Yeah, but you look at it, and I don't want to get too biblical, but you look at all the people that he used in the Bible; they were all in pretty tough spots."
Yeah, and we've joked about it before, Anthony. If we didn't have cerebral palsy, he just wanted to humble us a little bit because we just would have we'd have too much power.
Oh, you think you're big and mighty? Hey, go to a flight of stairs real quick.
Yeah. I don't know. Not to get too off topic, I don't know if you saw it, Anthony, but I posted a video recently on Facebook. I know we got to get back into sports, but it was this girl tried out this chair. She was only 17, and it could go not only up but downstairs as well. And that had like tank wheels.
Did it have in high school because the old South Range, because they had renovations, the elevator didn't go to every level, so they had this lift machine that was what I called it. I don't know what it was actually called, but it was like a platform with tank treads. It just climbed up the stairs. It was probably one of those on a wheelchair.
Yeah,
one of those tracks.
You gotta. The video could show you better than I could explain it. So you'll have to check out the video.
It'd probably feel really freaky because you'd probably be leaning down like you're falling down the stairs.
I think she was pretty terrified. Going up wasn't bad, but I could tell she was pretty scared going down.
Up, you're constantly feeling like you're going to tip back, which is a fear of mine because, you're kind of helpless because you're falling backwards and you can't catch yourself at all. So you're at the mercy of gravity. And then going down the stairs, you're always going to be feeling like I'm gonna tip right over. I'm gonna have to catch myself with my hands.
Yeah. So it's she said it was like the equivalent of being on a roller coaster.
If it was anything like the thing I used in high school, a very slow roller coaster.
Oh man!
I had to leave class 10 minutes earlier when I had to use that thing because it literally took a solid 5 minutes just to go down the stairs.
Oh yeah, and you're very good. It seems like you got better dexterity than I do. You're very good at pushing yourself.
Yeah, and remember,
I'm just kind of lazy.
Well, I know, you got to work on that. But remember in high school, I didn't really use the chair too much. I just walked to high school with my crutches.
Oh,
so we used the chair.
Right.
Basically, we used the chair to get me on a bus to the school because obviously I couldn't climb up the bus stairs, and then get me from level to level at the school. And there were times when lift was broken. They're like, Anthony, you got to walk the stairs. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
It was an old machine. It worked half the time, I would say.
Hey, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yep. And if it kills you, you're going to be in eternity, which is the strongest thing ever. So, one of the things that we want to talk about before Brian Tolnar comes on, Scotty, and we didn't have a chance to talk about it yesterday. There was no show yesterday. We apologize. The NABF season is about to get really wild. Over 60 games on the network in the next 4 days. Between Thursday and Sunday. 4 days. Thursday and Sunday. How excited are you to kind of take it all in?
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I was a little surprised, not with the outcome, but just the final score. Um, when Fielder's Choice, beating the Astro Falcons 9-2. Thought it was gonna be, you know, maybe a 1 or 2 score game, but baseball you never really know.
The interesting thing about that, Scotty, both teams came into that game undefeated throughout the bracket. So they were both really hot, and both bats were really alive. And it was just Fielder's Choice that kind of kept the bats going, and they couldn't. The Astros couldn't.
Yeah, and baseball is another sport. We talked about golf, and how challenging it can be. Now, baseball, you do have your teammates picking you up, but you fail way more than you succeed in baseball. So it's like some days just aren't your day, but you got to give a lot of credit to Fielder's Choice. We talked, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I was on the powerhouse the Astro Falcons have been, but um, that's what I love about baseball is I think more than any other team sport, there's so much uncertainty on a day to day basis. Anybody could win any baseball game. And I think you could say that about sports like football and basketball too. And you mentioned soccer earlier, but it's not as much. The percentage isn't as high. Do you get what I'm saying, Anthony?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but you asked me what are you most excited about with this as far as the NABF and everything we have coming up here.
The biggest question on my mind for this is what side of the ball is going to have domination? Is it going to be the pitching or the hitting? Because in the 14U, and me and Ty talked about this on Monday, we saw a lot of offense. You go through those scores. There weren't too many games where at least one team didn't score 6 runs. So now we get into the 16U and the 18U. Pitching develops a little bit more, that's for sure. Is the pitching going to be more dominant, or are the offenses in this NABF just too good to keep down?
Yeah, and I remember we were talking about baseball. I think this was maybe 3 weeks ago on the show, and Ty was saying, I distinctly remember him saying like he enjoys like both offense and pitching, but if he has to choose, he prefers more of a pitcher's duel over the offense. But if it's a clean game, Anthony, and both teams are playing well, in an ideal world, do you have like a preference, or do you just always want to see good baseball, whether it's a pitcher's duel or a slugfest?
Good baseball. If it's clean and it's 1-0, then it's fun. If it's clean and it's 6-5, it's fun. If it's a lot of bad defense and a lot of bad hitting and a lot of missed opportunities, and if that's why it's 1-0, if it's a lot of bad defense and that's why it's 9-8, but if it's the pitchers are hitting their spots, but the hitters are hitting it, or if it's hard hit balls that are just getting through the holes of the infield, whatever it may be, that's a lot more fun to me to watch than teams that struggle to even make good throws and make the errors and things like that.
Do you think if clean good baseball and a good pace of the game, I mean I think everybody would agree they would enjoy it, but do you think like baseball at this level, not saying, and again, a lot of these, especially some of the 14U players, it's just baffling how talented they are at such a young age. But do you think because it's separate from these players, that they have a long way to go, a lot to work on throughout to get, extremely polished once they hit their senior year in hopes to, get a scholarship, bigger and better things. But do you think like there's more variables in baseball on the high school level because there's more chances for, sloppy playing errors? Do you think it never really like takes a team out of a game? Because I feel like one team could put up a 5 spot, and then I feel like it's almost just as likely that you go to the next half inning, the other team could tie it easily. Where I don't really get that feeling when I watch a Major League Baseball game. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's pretty simple, Scotty, because when you're, let's say you're professional baseball, you put the ball on the ground in the infield, and it's to a guy, maybe not right to him, but it's in his range. 95% of the time, that's a ground out, right? Like it's he fields it, he makes the throw, it's good. That percentage goes down to 75% in high school, depending on who you play. So I think in high school it becomes more and more apparent that it's important to just put the ball in play and not strike out, because you never know who's defending the other side or how good that defender is or what kind of day he's having. It's a kid.
In one thing I wanted to ask you, I know we're probably getting close to having Brian on,
We had like 9 minutes
at least. But one thing I wanted to ask you, I didn't get to join in on the show last week, but we talked about this, I believe, the last Power Hour, and I want to get your thoughts on it because it was one of my sparks last week on the Power Hour. Why do you think that these, these umpires that ump Little League, and a lot of them do it, for free and just because they love the game and they want to do it for the kids and see them thrive, see them succeed? But why do you think parents and why are they getting so much flack? It's just kind of baffling to me.
It's interesting that you brought this up, Scotty, because after Brian Tonar, we're going to be talking to Fred Moots, who is a umpire, is a referee during his summer, fall, and winter sports, schedules. Obviously, he coaches Boardman softball in the spring, but during the other times, he is a umpire. He is a referee for both those sports. So maybe that's something that we can ask him. Like, what do you think is? Have parents gotten more and more outlandish? Has there been more pressure to get kids that develop in athletics more? Why are referees being more and more harassed as we go? And what kind of toll is that taking on finding referees and trying to get them to come into this job?
And I just think, the more I've thought about it, they've even, for a long time now, they've floated around the idea even at the highest level in the major leagues, they floated around the possibility of robot umps, but I just don't to me it's not appealing at all. I think the human element, it just adds a fascinating intrigue to the game, and imperfections are part of life. Nobody's perfect, so why are we trying? I get that we've made major technological advancements, but I don't know. I really think the human element shouldn't be taken out of the game.
Here's the follow me here, especially when you're talking about the MLB. The worst thing that happened to them was that they put the little strike zone in the TV broadcast, right? because now everyone knows exactly when you miss a pitch. It's not like guessing what before it, like, oh, I think that was a strike, or I think that was a ball, and I think the umpire missed it. No, the TV is showing you that was a ball, and he called it a strike. It is tangible evidence because we tracked it. So now you go on social media and you can see all these examples of this umpire missed this pitch and this pitch and this pitch and this pitch, and it gets people really upset. And it's like you can put it on the table as, we know you missed this pitch, not we're guessing you missed this pitch or you might have missed this pitch. Like you can throw it down to MLB's desk and be like, we know you missed 25% of your balls and strikes because now we have the actual evidence to do it. It's a lot harder to ignore that. And I get what you're saying. And I actually agree with it. I don't want robot umps. But because now there's like legitimate evidence, not even objective, just evidence that was a strike and you called it a ball, or that was a ball and you called it a strike. Every time a pitcher throws a pitch, it's a lot of pressure to put on umpires. Like we don't have that in high school. We don't have that in well, I guess some college broadcasts don't put the little strike zone in there, but we don't have that pressure. I think at the youth level of parents saying, we knew that was a strike. We have evidence that was a strike, and you called it a ball.
And that's pretty.
I'm sure, like you watch the Guardians and you see a ball that maybe is 2 balls off the plate, right? But it's called a strike. That gets you upset even more now that you have the little square that tells you that wasn't a strike, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like if they didn't have that, like I couldn't, like who would I don't think that's question it?
I don't think that's a strike, but I don't, there's no evidence that says it's not.
But like it's weird because even like I don't know the you like I know the Royals, they're having another rough year, not to take too big of a shot at you, but
okay.
I know you kind of lost at least some of your interest this year on that level. But even in the big leagues, like when umpires used to call as like a high strike, a lot of pitchers really don't get those calls if a pitch is high but in the zone like they used to. But on the K zone or whatever, they don't call it a strike, but certain umps won't call it a strike.
Right.
So but I don't know. I feel like with anything, technology is great, but as the old saying goes, I think too much of anything is a bad thing.
That's true. There's not even water, which is one of our basic needs. There's such a thing as overhydrating. So there even there, you can even drink too much water. So
yeah.
That statement has abundance of truth. We're going to take another break before we get to Brian Tolar and Fred Moots right after him. So this is Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not one, but 2 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable. We are close. You call it hometown. We call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our family's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig, and I am with Scotty Minster today. If you're just joining us, just me and Scotty. Ty will be back tomorrow, hopefully, and we're going to be joined by Brian Tonar, our golf guru from Mill Creek Golf. Brian, thank you as always for joining us like you do every week.
Thanks for having me. It's been super nice out, and we're excited to get golfers back out after we had some rain on Sunday afternoon and Monday. So all good.
It has been really nice out, and I guess the first question I want to ask is, how was the concert series over the weekend?
Concert series is good. We actually have another one tonight. We have the Del Senchek Polka Band down at the Morley Concert Pavilion down at the Wick Recreation Area within the Metro Parks. They'll start at 7. They're always a fan favorite here in the Mahoning Valley. Bring a number of people with them that travel to watch them perform. So if you like polkas, Mill Creek Metro Park is the place to be this evening.
I think there are probably some younger generational people that are asking, what the heck is polka?
You know, if you want to know what it is, you can find out tonight at the Morley Concert Pavilion. They do a wonderful job. They've been with us for a number of years. Between playing at Yellow Creek and playing at the Morley Concert Pavilion, they draw a nice crowd, and it's a popular traditional event from the melting pot that is Youngstown.
What else is going on at Mill Creek Park over the weekend that people should know as they go into the rest of their week?
Well, over the weekend, we just finished the drive, chip, and putt championship. We got that in by, I don't know how we got that in, to be honest with you. Just got it in on Sunday by about 2:30 when the rain started to unleash. It looked bleak for a while, but the kids hung in there and got it done. And then this week we've got a couple golf outings, and we have a PGA Junior League match on Friday here versus Old Avalon. And then we followed up again on Sunday at Yankee Run with our blue team. We have an orange team and a blue team, and our blue team currently right now is doesn't have a loss. They do have one tie, and the orange team I think is 1-1-1, or 2-1-1, something like that. So kids are playing hard. You know, like any coach with any sport right now, before any of the sports and kids going back to school start, they're juggling vacations, last minute opportunities to go away, and juggling lineups. So it's all fun.
Yeah, and when you look at the summer kind of winding down, we're going into the month of August, and it will start to be time to transition into the high school golf and things like that. And I know 8 teams use Mill Creek as their home, and as we go into that conversation, what is the transition like for these kids that have been playing the summer all year and playing in some of the tournaments that are around the summer to kind of focusing in on their high school season?
Well, I think it's actually kind of neat, just for the aspect of you've got all summer to really play and practice. Unlike when I coached high school golf up in New York season's in the spring. So you're basically in the gym hitting golf balls in Western New York in the month of March, and maybe a couple weeks into the month of April. And then your season is April, and mid-May is when they start their sectionals and districts and all of that. So I think we're fortunate to have golf in the fall for the state of Ohio, because you do have that avenue where you can practice all spring, all summer. You can compete in tournaments all summer before the high school season starts here in about another week or so with tryouts and practice. And I think they're doing some involuntary stuff right now. So I mean, if you want to work out with your team, you can, but it's not voluntary at this point. So I think next week or the week after starts their opening season to really get the practices down path, where we see all the kids here practicing, and all 8 or 9 teams that call Mill Creek home, out and about, really grinding on their game to get in that lineup and to make that high school golf team, and then be able to play through the month of August, September, and sectionals and districts during the month of October, and the state tournament towards the latter part of October. So I think we have a pretty good advantage by doing our golf season here in Ohio in the fall, because it gives you that opportunity to play, practice, and compete all summer long. So when you're coming out for tryouts, you should be pretty darn sharp by the time tryouts and your season starts.
Brian, at the top of the show, we talked to a commit for softball. So what I want to talk about is when you're trying to play at the next level in golf and get yourself recruited. In baseball, softball, you make the most headway in the summer. Coaches come and recruit you in the summer for travel season. When do you make your most headway as far as coaches seeing you and getting recruited in golf?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the tournament schedule that you play during the summer, because the coaches are out there, watching the kids participate in multi-day events. And I think the biggest key for a high school student that's looking to get recruited for the game of golf and to play at the collegiate level is playing in multi-day events. Coaches will spend a day or two at a multi-day event, whether it's a 2-day event, a 3-day event, or a 72-hole 4-day round event, because they're going to see how well the player starts, how he handles himself or herself in the middle of that tournament, and how they finish on the back end of that. So I think it's very important that if you have the opportunity to play in a multi-day event, to really take advantage of that, because that's where the most exposure comes from. Throughout the normal golf season with these 9-hole matches that you'll see not too many collegiate coaches coming around, because they're getting their seasons ready for fall and spring golf, because that's traditionally when they play. So, I mean, the time for them to be able to recruit and get out away from their teams, it makes it tough. However, you will see college coaches down at the state tournament. Every once in a while, you'll see them at a district or a sectional, but the majority of it is that multi-day event down at the Scarlet or Gray course, or wherever they're hosting the state tournament for the state of Ohio. because coaches can see you, how well you perform over a number of days, other than just a 9-hole sampling during a high school match or a 18-hole sampling in a tournament. So I think, having value to put towards those multi-day events is going to give you an advantage when it comes to getting selected collegiately.
Brian, I just had one question for you. We've talked a bit now about the young golfers and what the future's gonna hold for them. And when people are talking about, and it's not just exclusively with golf, but a lot of sports, like people throw out, they'll say like Father Time is undefeated, but I want to know for you, especially looking at someone like Tiger and what he's had to overcome since the accident, and him still out there and being confident, but it necessarily not showing up on the scoreboard. But I want to know from your perspective, because you've been around the game a long time, you're a seasoned veteran. What's one thing better about your game now? Because everyone focuses on, a lot of time they say when you're younger, you're just better, it hasn't taken a toll on you. But I just want to know, what's one thing you're better at now that you weren't quite as good at when you were a younger golfer, like 18 or 21 or whatever?
Well, I think there's for me, there's two things that come into mind. You have to have a better short game, because we don't certainly hit it as far as we once did. We don't hit as many greens as we once did. So they have the opportunities to be able to get it up and down with that short game, and to be able to give yourself opportunities to make pars when you don't have your best. Is probably the number one equation. Number two, it's your attitude changes a little bit too. The expectation level. When you're practicing and when you're chipping and hitting balls and spending 2, 3, 4 hours a day on making your game tournament ready or competitive ready, there's a lot of time and effort that gets put in. So the expectation level, when you put in all that time, is quite different than when you play how I play right now recreationally. If you can get out once a week, that's a lot, between juggling kid schedules and family life and everything else that you have going on from a career perspective. So I think juggling your time and lowering the bar expectation level to the point where you're not going to hit 15, 16 greens every single round like you may have once did. You may hit 9, you may hit 10. It's what you do in those rounds that you don't hit those greens, giving yourself opportunities to putt for par and get it up and down when you have a bad shot in those 5 or 6 holes that you just don't play consistently how you did back in the day. So I think lowering the bar expectationally, and I think you're seeing that with Tiger now. His lower body doesn't work as well as it did, and you can look at his swing compared to what you saw at the British Open this past weekend, to 10 years ago, to 20 years ago. And, age does set in to a certain point, but, we are one of the luckiest groups of people that can play a sport that you can start when you're 7, 8 years of age, 6, 7, 8 years of age, and you can play it all the way till you're 100 if you want to. And I think, we're very fortunate for that. I mean, you don't see basketball players playing forever. You don't see NFL players playing a 20-year career. It's just not in the cards. The body's just not built for that. But the game of golf, you could still do from start to finish. That's why the handicap system is very fair and makes everybody on a level playing field for those who don't play professionally. But as golf professionals go, I mean, there's many avenues to still play and keep competitive. You get to play senior events now at age 50 and over. So I'm 5 years away from that. So, I mean, that may spark my interest to practice and play a little bit more. There's just plenty of more opportunities now than there was before. But I think, what you're seeing with Tiger and some of the older guys that we grew up watching as kids on the PGA Tour, I mean, Father Time does take its toll on you at that level, at that competitive level. Now, will you see Tiger Woods win a tournament again? Very good possibility that he does. Will you see him win another major? the odds are, sort of against that a little bit. I mean, it doesn't happen very often that, once you get north of, 40 and 45, that you're going to win very many majors. What Phil did a couple years ago is an abnormality. And what Jack Nicklaus did at 46, winning the Masters in 86, and what Tiger did, a few years ago, winning the Masters, those are, as a fan, things that you love to see because they're still in it, they're still in the game. But the odds of them being able to do that, even further on in their career, as the clock keeps on ticking, is just not there anymore. So I think, expectations, I love seeing Tiger play. I love seeing Phil play. I love seeing all of those guys that I grew up watching as a kid and idolized, the Freddie Couples of the world. I mean, all of those guys, David Duval, who played reasonably well for a 7-8 year stretch and then, sort of went wayward. But I mean, those were fun guys to watch as a fan. But you can't say anything less than they're a shell of what they used to be, but they're still competitive. They're just not going to be competitive on a 4-month stretch of time. They'll be competitive once or twice a year. You'll see their name on a leaderboard where they can compete, but it's not like it once was. But the good thing is we're still playing the game and still playing the sport we love well beyond age 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90.
All right, Brian, we have a new episode of Tolnar's Takes. We're going to play it, and then we'll bring you back to talk about it.
You got it.
Hi everybody, Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek Metro Parks Golf Course in Boardman, Ohio, and welcome to this week's YSN Golf Tip of the Week. Today we find ourselves in a bit of a situation to where we're off the edge of the green, maybe 15 or 20 feet. We don't have too much green to work with, maybe about 5 or 6 yards or so. We really got to get the ball lofted and get it high in the air to make sure that we can get it very, very close. So today we're going to talk about what we call the flop shot. Anytime that you watch the PGA Tour, you see the guys making these full swings by the edge of the green. Very tough shot to hit, but I'm going to walk you through each step of the process. So if you find yourself in this predicament, we're able to get out and give ourselves an opportunity to make a putt. So number one, we're in the heavy rough. And number two, we've got very little green to work with. So as we step into this shot, it's going to be very similar to a bunker shot. We're going to play the ball up in our stance a little bit. We're going to open the club face. Again, we've got the bounce of the club that's going to help us get in the air, but because we're opening it up, it deadens some of the bounce, so we want to make sure that we're making a full swing to get the club from back to front, and that's probably the most important part. Because we're going to catch a lot of this grass between the club face and the ball, it's going to really get to the point where it knocks the ball down. So we want to make sure that we get it up high to where we can hold this green. So our stance is going to be a little bit wider than we're accustomed to using on a pitch or chip shot. We're going to go outside shoulders with, and we're going to move that ball position more towards the front. Margin for error is great in this shot, so you don't have to hit it too many times during the round, but every once in a while you'll be forced to do that based on the type of lie and the type of situation that you're in. So I'm going to open the club face up slightly. I'm going to choke down on the club, and our goal is to make sure that we use arms and shoulders, and we really accelerate through and finish up here. Again, it's going to be that full swing, even though that we're this close to the green. That's going to allow us to get the golf ball up into the air and allow it to stop. Goal from this range is really just to get it within about 15, 20 feet or even onto the green. Because the rough is severe and because we don't have that much of green to work with, we just are worried about getting it on the green to give ourselves an opportunity to putt. Every once in a while you hit one of those close, every once in a while you'll knock one of those in, but goal number one is to get yourself out of this poor situation that you find yourself in with very little green to work with and give yourself the opportunity to get it up and down and have a putt at that par or bogey or birdie or vice versa. All right, we've got our setup all down pat. We've got our weight on our front foot. We're ready to hit the shot. Again, this is going to come in high and it's going to stop and check up a little bit if we're lucky. Arms and shoulders back and through. The key is a nice high finish. For more tips like this and any others that you've seen throughout our course of our series, please contact us at Mill Creek Metro Parks, millcreekmetroparks.org, or you can call the Pro Shop at 330-740-7112. And again, I hope you enjoyed this YSN Golf Tip of the Week.
Brian, nice shot one.
Oh, thank you. That's probably one of my most favorite shots. It's something that you have to practice a lot to be able to hit it that well. We got lucky with a decent lie and the ball come out the way that we wanted to. But those are always fun to watch on television. Those are always fun to be able to pull off, but it's about a 1 in 4 shot based on, just the severity and the toughness of that lie.
What's the biggest thing that you have to kind of teach people, or the biggest struggle point for that shot specifically?
For that shot, just like we said in the tip series, it's something that you may experience maybe once in an 18-hole round where you've left yourself to the point where you don't have that much green to work with, and you got to hoist the ball up into the air to give it to the point where it stops just a little bit. So I think, having the opportunity to make those swings and to get the club head through with some acceleration, I think is the biggest key. The moment that you stop or decelerate that club, it'll knock the golf ball down and it's not going to make it to the green. So acceleration through and that high finish is very, very vital in being successful in this shot.
DJ wants to give you an Emmy right now for that section. For that segment. Give you the Emmy. Give you an Emmy on your desk.
That was probably one of my better shots, and it was neat to be able to walk up, through the tip series there. I think we got it down path at that point.
First take?
First take.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to join us like you do every week. It's great to hear from you. We'll be back next week with another tip and some more fun stuff going on at Mill Creek Golf Course.
You got it. Scotty and Anthony, have a great week, as well as DJ.
All right, that was Brian Tolnar, golf guru from Mill Creek. And now we're going to be joined by a guy who I think there's a lot to talk about for Fred Mitz. I mean, we're going to bring him on, and not only is he the head coach of Boardman softball, he's also an umpire referee in his other seasons of work. Fred, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You got it. And me and Scotty were talking about the way that parents have treated umpires has kind of not drastically changed, but have you felt like, as an umpire, as a referee, that you've seen it kind of get a little bit more worse as the years go on?
Yeah, I think mainly in the youth realm, it's gotten worse. I think the older you get in sports in the middle school realm or the high school realm, it's different. There's more consequence for coaches and parents. But, the youth realm, there's really no governing body to, hold these people accountable. I mean, you have organizations, but unfortunately, there's really not a governing body, and I think that they take advantage of that a lot. And it's gotten a lot worse, like I said, in the youth realm. And, I do youth basketball, youth football. I mean, obviously I umpire as well. And, they really have become the most frustrating groups, good, bad, or indifferent. It really doesn't matter anymore, unfortunately. So yes, I think it's over the years, it has gotten a lot worse.
I just had a question for you. One for you, Fred, to go opposite of that. Other than obviously, doing it because you love it, is there something that going into it when you first started out umping that you weren't sure that you were gonna like that you really like now about it? Like, is there you have favorite things about it?
I mean, you have to love it to continue to do it. I think you really have to love it. The kids keep me coming back. The adults can unfortunately act, inappropriate at times, or fans or coaches for that matter. But ultimately, the kids keep me coming back because without umpires, without officials, without referees, there would, they couldn't play. And, so, the more, you hear guys say, I don't want to do it anymore. I hate it. Or, it's just too much. I always tell them, remember who it affects the most. It affects the kids. So, I do. I love it. I think as an official or referee, an umpire, you have to treat each game, the same. I go into a 10U game as I do, an 18U game, and I try to do it the same way. And I think, in that respect, over the years, I like to think that I've done a good job, and I continue to learn and get better, and that's part of it too. I think it also, the officials themselves have to sometimes hold themselves accountable at times. And there's games that I've done that after the game, I thought, man, I don't know that I did such a great job there. And, I critique myself. I'm my biggest critic. And, I obviously am willing to learn to get better. But, ultimately, to answer your question, it's the kids. And again, I love it. You're not really doing it for the money, because ultimately the money is, it's depending on what you do, it can be profitable if you're doing tournament softball on the weekends as opposed to a Friday night football game. You're doing it because you love it, because it's not for the money. Because once you go out after, you have something to eat, and with your crew and stuff, it's not about the money you made that night.
Yeah, you brought up football, and you're gearing up for another football season, putting on those stripes, and give everyone like kind of a behind the scenes picture on what goes into refereeing football. And obviously, you have to build a camaraderie with your crew that you work with in football, and what kind of goes into a Friday night for you and your responsibilities?
There's a lot. I mean, it's funny because Friday night football, you're there hours ahead of time. You're there for the longest period of time for a game. Basketball game, you can be in and out in an hour, but you can get there 15 minutes prior. But football is a little different. You got to do a pregame with your crew. We do a little bit of traveling with our crew, so we go out and see some other areas that obviously that aren't local. That we'll go up north, we'll go to Cleveland, Canton area. So you get to see other teams that you wouldn't normally see, which is kind of cool too, and other other stadiums that you may have never been in. So there's a lot that goes into it. We have a good camaraderie with our crew. We have a lot of fun, but it's a 10-week season, and you really got to be on at your best, because a couple of mistakes by the crew can cost the team the potential to make the playoffs. I mean, everybody in basketball and softball and baseball, and they all make the playoffs. So, but for football, it's a little different animal. So you have to be your best always. Obviously you're going to make mistakes. We're like Scotty said earlier, you're human. You're going to make mistakes. But football Friday nights, there's a lot that goes into it. We pregame. We're there, a couple hours prior. We walk the field. We meet, with the administration. The site, obviously, maybe the athletic director, assistant athletic director, whoever it may be. But it's fun. I mean, then after we go out and we enjoy the company after, and you kind of decompress. It's a stressful couple of hours for sure, especially my job. I'm a wing, so normally I'm hearing the coach in your ear nonstop. So but again, we do it because we love to do it, and we do it for the kids more than anything.
I think a lot of people outside of the realm think that you get to handpick what games you go to, and you get to kind of choose, I want to go here this week. And that's not really how it works. You are scheduled, you are sent to where you go. Do you know everywhere you're going to be throughout the season when the season starts, or is it a week by week basis?
No, you may not know, some assigners are different. They may assign, the exact game, each week. This is the game you're going to do a year ahead of time. The assigners we work for up north a little bit, they're a little different. We know what conference it may be, but maybe not know what games it'll be until maybe a month or two prior to us doing the game. So yeah, ahead of time who you're doing, and maybe not. Like I said, some assigners are differently. They're assigned a year and a half in advance. Especially with lower level games and basketball games, and and obviously there's a lot of games every night. So yeah, so you will know ahead of time, maybe within a year, maybe sometimes within a couple of weeks, depending on the actual assigner themselves.
Do you know where you'll be week one?
Actually, it's funny you say that. I do, but I don't. Let me see here. We are week one. We are doing we are at Willard. So we are doing South Central against Willard at Willard. So two schools I haven't had yet. So once again, that's our week one. It's fun. Actually, week two, we have still yet to know where we'll be for week two. So, and I think week 3 we are at Beaver Local, Minerva against Beaver Local. So, yep, there's still a couple of games out there that we have not received yet.
Do you like going to these new schools and meeting the new people and kind of taking in a new atmosphere and a new community? Like you said, week 1, you're going to be somewhere where you've never been before.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, like I said, and there are so many guys that get caught up in I don't want to do these lower level games. They're not as, I don't know. I guess they don't. I treat every game the same. I mean, so, those kids all put on their pads the same way, whether it's D7 or D1. And a lot of these guys get caught up in, I want to do the higher level games. The Boardmans, the Fitches, the whatever the case may be. Not me, not our crew. We treat it all the same. So, yeah, it is kind of cool. Like I said, I've been around a while umpiring and officiating, and there's so many schools in the state of Ohio. It's unbelievable. And so to see some of these other schools, and some of these fields that are even some of these lower level fields, it's amazing how unbelievable some of these stadiums are. To be able to go down or go up or go down and see, so yeah, it's kind of cool.
Is football any easier to handle because of the fact that you're a little more separated from the fans than you are in basketball and softball?
From a fan standpoint, yes, maybe, but it's the most difficult game to officiate because there's so much going on. I mean, you obviously have responsibilities, what position you work. And a lot of times when you start out, everybody gets caught up, in ball watching and not really, maintaining their keys to what they have going on. But from a fan standpoint, possibly, but don't worry, the coaches make up for it, especially when you're a wing official.
Being a referee and then obviously having to put the coach hat back on in the spring, does it help you keep in perspective what the umpires are dealing with when maybe a call doesn't go your way or doesn't go the way you would want it to go? You kind of know what that's like to be back there and you can handle it in a better way. Do you think that's helped you as a coach to handle the umpires in a much better and more respectful way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, number one, I know them all, and there's not one I probably don't know unless, they're obviously coming maybe from, Canton or Cleveland area, some Trumbull kind of guys I don't maybe necessarily know, or ladies for that matter, because there's a lot of good lady umpires, officials out there for the record. So, I think so. There's not a rule that I don't know, so there's not something they can, tell me something different, but because I know the rules, but it does. I'm still going to coach my team. Obviously I may not agree with everything. My biggest thing is as an official and as a coach in general, just hustle, just work hard. If you miss something, but you hustled, you worked hard to be in position, maybe you missed it. So what? There's two out there for most games, for high school umpires, for, lower level basketball games. When I first started doing a couple of varsity games and seeing the difference between 3 and 2 officials, it's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable how much more you will see on a basketball floor with 3 officials. But with 2 out there, it's tough. Major League Baseball, I tell people they have 4 umpires out there and they go to review because these guys miss stuff and they're the best of the best. These players do almost everything perfect, almost all the time. Of course, they make some mistakes here or there, but it's very few and far between. These umpires behind the plate in Major League Baseball, it's unbelievable what these guys do. Within inches, and you got guys taking pitches that are, just barely off the plate. And these guys, they get it right. I think it's an average of 15 calls or something they miss or pitches per game. Think about how many pitchers are thrown in a Major League Baseball game. Right. It's unbelievable, 9 inning game. So, yeah. So, I definitely, from the perspective of being an official, but also, like I said, if you're working your butt off and, maybe you miss something, I can live with that. And because, again, I tell the girls, we control what we can do to win a game or lose a game. It does not come down to umpiring. There's so many other opportunities, we face during a game that we can decide a game with, me as a coach or us as players.
So that's how it has affected your attitude as a coach. But you're also, you're a parent that watched softball for a long time. You watch softball as a fan. How does it impact how you act in the stands when you're watching your own kid? I know Paige just finished. but back in her career.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I generally didn't really say my. Listen. I'm not going to say I never said anything because
Right.
I've been guilty of that. But I would never take it to that place of being disrespectful or being ejected or possibly whatever the case may be. They're obviously we're all human as well on the outside, and that's why as a good official, a referee, an umpire, all that, you have to be willing to listen to that. That comes with the game. It's come with the game from the beginning of time. It's not just something that just happened. Coaches are going to coach, fans are going to be fans. If you're doing a good enough job out there, you're not listening for that stuff. You're not trying to hear that stuff anyway. As long as it doesn't disrupt the game, listen, I could hear the come on blues all day. Where'd that pitch miss all day? That just comes with the territory, comes with, being an official. And you have to be willing to, a lot of that stuff to, roll off your back. Can't have rabbit ears out there. You just can't.
What is one sport that you don't officiate that you would like to, or that you would be interested in putting your hat in?
That's good. That's a good question. I don't. I guess volleyball. I mean, I would think maybe volleyball. I don't know. They say it's kind of easy, so I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I did the lines a couple of games.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you ever do like a line judge as a volunteer?
Yeah, I worked up at Badger for Pat Carney up there a couple of times, and I guess volleyball would probably be it. I mean, it's it's a fast moving game. It's indoors. It's like I always tell people, I love basketball. It's 72 in the gym all the time. So it's not 12 below out like it could be for a football game late in the year.
Yeah, and I want to see Fred with some flags at the line, whipping those flags around.
You might see me a couple more times this year, possibly. If I'm off on a basketball night, I might be doing it.
So now we have to talk a little bit about your program, because the feeder, the Little League girls are still alive. They're going for a regional, and these are girls that you're going to have in a couple of years. Hopefully,
Yeah.
if everything works out, you never know. But when you're watching them represent Boardman, and that this is going to be your future, what are your takeaways in the summer so far? And obviously you've been doing this a long time, so you've seen girls go from 12U to get to you. What are the developments that an experience like this can have for those girls?
Well, I tell you right now, they've made history, so that says a lot in itself. I mean, we haven't won a state title in the 11 and 12-year-old division since 1976. So this group here is pretty darn good. They've been amazing to watch. These coaches have done an amazing job. They've represented our school, our community with nothing but, class and dignity. And I'm so proud of this group. I got the chance to go up and watch the state championship game. And I tell you, this is a special group here, man. I mean, they play tough. I mean, they play together. If it's Emma Davies doing her thing in the circle and then all of a sudden, boom, they implode in an inning by just having 9 consecutive hits. I mean, they put it all together. This team's very dangerous, and I tell you right now, in the regional, they can make some hay, and I'm so excited and cannot wait to watch them down there. And I'm so proud of each and every one of these young ladies. And Little League baseball, softball, it's special to me, not just as a coach, but as an umpire. Like I said, too many people have gone away from playing the game, and I'm just so ecstatic that these parents, and I'm so proud that they kept with it and allowed their daughters to play and be able to represent Boardman and the state of Ohio now in the regionals. I mean, I can't be happier for this group of girls.
You've obviously seen girls go from 12U to your varsity level, and then you've seen them develop, and you've probably seen girls not get there and either fall in love with another sport or go a different way. What do you think is the kind of the difference maker between the girls that stick with it and the girls that don't?
Well, I just think you hit one of them on the head. I think multiple sport athletes. There's so many of them nowadays. So some girls who might be amazing at 12 years old at softball start to fall in love and with basketball and maybe they improve much more from 12 to 14 or 15 in basketball or whatever the case may be, whatever sport, soccer. So I've seen some girls do some things. Madison Lester, for example, from the age of 12 to 14. I'm not sure I've seen a girl improve, actually any athlete at that. And I say it all the time. What she did from 12 to 14 was unbelievable. I mean, she was just, 12 years old. She was finding her way. She was learning how to, obviously throw the ball hard, but also have that command. And, so again, I think, there's a lot of things. I mean, family life, I mean, things, peer pressure, things, school. There are a lot of things that affect that, and, as a softball coach, I want to be, selfish and hope that they, stick with softball. And I'm not one of these coaches that believe in, you should be playing only softball only. Listen, the best athletes are out there playing multiple sports. You keep your fingers crossed, that they don't get hurt. I mean, obviously, basketball, I lost Natalie Davis last year. We're so excited about the season Natalie would have been able to have. But unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards. She got hurt, but, super excited to see her get ready to come back this year and lead this team. So, things happen. You keep your fingers crossed, but, ultimately, obviously there are a lot of factors that come into play. Jobs. I mean, I see some girls, they start working and, and then maybe sports now become secondary. It's just multiple things.
We'll bring it back full circle before we let you go back to refereeing. And I want to know, what is the best football game you've ever been a part of as a referee?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Man, I'm trying to think, because actually last year we had, if I can remember, it was Tuslaw and God, I can't even remember now. It was whoever we had last year. There's so many, they all run together, but it ended up being two teams that were, they came in with not the greatest records. I think one was 0-6 and one might have been 1-5, and it was an unbelievable game, back and forth game. Actually, no, you know what? I take that back. Sebring, Jackson Milton was better last year. That game came down to the very last play of the game. So I take that back. I say Sebring, Jackson Milton last year. Unbelievable finish, great game, back and forth. So that probably was it. Race Meal, the legend. I don't know about that, Ray. You're the legend, Ray. You're the legend.
This is DJ. Cleo, I've been a dream. So do you think that this is normally a product of society, what he's talking about?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, guys are saying nowadays, look, if we're going to do it and we're going to go out there and have to, to continue moving forward and, doing a quality job, we want more money. And, it's just not, I don't think it's just that. I think that, every year you're buying new stuff. Now, OSHA has now changed the logo. So now in a couple of years, they're going to want you to, have to buy all new stuff, so, each year, I mean, like I said, it's not for the money. I mean, you have to pay, your dues every year. You have to research your certification every year, pay that. You're buying new gear every year. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are, that's what they're doing now, saying, hey, you know what, we just won't do the games if you don't step up and pay more money. So,
what do you think about this? What comes first, shortage of coaches?
That is an unbelievably great question right there. That is a great question. Me personally, I think coaches. I really do. I really believe that. That's a great question, though, and something else that I've talked to people multitudes about. And same thing, coaching. It's the same. But I would, to answer your question, DJ, I say coaches. I really believe that.
When that being said, that you feel that way when you see someone trying to kind of get into coaching or trying to, scratch that itch of coaching, like what are some advice that you give to them to like stay the course and try to nurture that coach so they can grow up into to be, a coach to not help out with that shortage?
Yeah, I mean, it's patience. It takes patience. There are times that are, I'm not going to lie, that are trying as a coach. There's times that, you think to yourself, is it worth it? But you know what? It is worth it because I love my girls and it's all about them. So, that's what keeps me coming back. Them as people, they're human. They're just amazing. They're families. Again, as starting out, when I started out, it was like, wow, what did I get myself into? There's a lot more that goes into this than coaching the game of softball. I knew the game of softball. I'm obviously still learning. There's so much more I need to learn to be, a great coach. But, I pretty much felt like, I could coaching part of it is there. But, man, it's like all the ins and outs, that the behind the scenes stuff that goes along with it. And, Obviously, start at the youth, the youth level. That is the most important, because so many coaches don't, there's that disconnect there, and I don't know why. I mean, that's your future. And I think, sometimes, people say, well, girls leave to go to other schools or do this or do that. Sometimes I believe that's part of it. It's like, where's the interest from maybe that particular high school? So, that's important, because they are the future, and to try to get your girls involved, your high school girls involved with the youth, is important. And, giving back. And again, I love it. There's nothing more than I love than going to practice every day, and seeing the girls. And even, I had tough times, obviously in the spring, losing my brother. It was the biggest thing was getting back and seeing them happy faces. Some of them, the crazies I had on this team, and, really just, that's what it's all about, and that's what I love about it more than anything, because, ultimately you have to love what you're doing.
Coach and referee, we thank you so much for joining us today to give us a little bit of a glimpse into what it's like to get ready for the football season as a referee. And we thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to talking to you again real soon.
It was a pleasure. By the way, Greenwood Chevy SE sponsor your show. Bought my car out there. They are great people out there. My man Timmy Demane took care of me out there. So
there you go.
They really are great. Honestly, he set me up. He's my guy. So anybody who wants to buy a car should go to Greenwood, in my opinion. But that's all I got.
Was it a midlife crisis car? Did you get
No. Just my Equinox. Just to be able to put all my softball stuff in the bag.
Right.
So, but they're wonderful people out there. They took care of me, and anybody that needs a car, honestly, not just plugging them. Honestly, they should go out there. Great people out there.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you, Scotty. Take care, guys.
Scotty and Anthony and myself, joined by Fred Moots. And usually we get him for a coach's corner. Today we get him for a referee's corner, and we get a look into what it takes and what it means to be a football referee. He's obviously going to get ready to go referee football. And, that was my thing. Like, hey, you're kind of separated from the fans. Does that make it easier? But he said coaches in football make up for it. So,
Yeah, I'm sure he's heard plenty of earfuls from the coaches.
I guess in the other sport, well, you're not really separated from the coaches too much in basketball and baseball either, really. But football, they can get right there.
That's got to be part of the reason these officials too are asking for pay raises. I mean, you would think it's even the most like down to earth, nicest officials. If a coach is chirping at him long enough, it's got to eventually get under his skin.
A lot of them have to be sitting there asking, like, how much is being called ridiculously obscene names? And some of the stuff you hear it's not everywhere, but some of the stuff that you hear be said about officials to them in a game, it's like, how much is going through that every night really worth,
Yeah.
And what am I willing to, and then Fred said, yes, remember, it's all for the kids, but especially for new referees that aren't really used to it. Like, it's hard to keep that in perspective. You're getting called really obscene names from the sidelines, and you're trying to think, oh, it's all for the kids. It's not easy.
And then, you
some instances, you're getting fought. People are finding you after the game and trying to hit you. How much is that worth?
Yeah, and when they're not yelling at you, you still get, or being, like you said, acting out in a physical manner. Even if they're not doing that, you're still getting no credit, because people say, well, he is an official, like he should be doing a good job. So it's kind of like one of those things. Either way, you're damned.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
Yeah, for sure, certainly.
That's one of those ones that you like many jobs that we have in the workplace in today's world. You got to love it to do it, and if you don't love it, you're not going to do it.
What do you think is harder, not to get too far off?
No, you're good. We got We're wrapping up the show, so you're good.
But we talked a lot here in the past about how coaches don't necessarily win games. It's players that win the game. But what do you if you had to put a percentage on it, like 60-40 it's this or 70-30 is that, like how much, if you put a number on it, how much harder is it to be a coach or a referee at an elite level compared to being, an elite athlete? How would you divvy that up?
That's so tough because obviously I have zero experience being an elite athlete or an elite coach. I think we've had this conversation before. I think the percentages of how much impact the coach has go up the lower levels you get, if that makes sense. So like you look at a professional coach, how much impact he has on the game's outcome
You think
is
it's minimal.
significantly less than how much maybe a high school coach has on the impact of their outcome. Now, college, you argue like they're elite, but you're still have to get the players to your program. So if you're not a good recruiter, you can't, that's part of the job. So maybe college coaches are that middle bridge. They have maybe 50% of whether or not you win or lose because you're literally responsible for putting the players on the field. Most coaches aren't really like they can have say in who you draft, but the GM's drafting. Right, so they don't even have like the final decision in a draft pick to say this is who I want to be on my team.
And take football for example. I think it's much easier no matter who the coach is. Like if you're gonna talk, like take NFL, using that as an example here. Like I think it's much easier no matter what team you're coaching to be a coach in the NFL than on the college level or the high school level, because the gap, the talent level between the two teams is, I think, much smaller. Like all of the teams have, they at least have a couple star players where you don't always necessarily get that on the high school and college level. So it's more imperative that, you're a top of the line. You should strive to be a, top of the line coach.
I've seen. See, this is where I make this argument. I've seen in high school pretty sufficient, like not a huge talent gap, but like one that you walk into the gym and you're like, this team is just more talented than this team, and I can tell. But the other team just gets outcoached and it wins because of it. Like effort's coached, right? So the effort the kids put out there, pretty much on coach. So when I see a team that's not quite as talented outwork and then also out scheme and outthink the other coach, you see that a lot in high school. You like, how many times do the Jaguars beat the Patriots just because they outcoached them? Like it doesn't.
No, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
It's more to the players.
You're right. I think that's more of the point to where, like I said, I think in high school, and especially when you talk junior high, youth, coaches have much more percentage of weight on whether the team wins or loses. Now, still, they cannot, no matter what they do, they can't go out and make the play. So it's still on the players. You can drive in a kid XXXXX, but if he goes out there and does Z, there's nothing you could do, right?
Yeah. And
that's going to be one of the more frustrating things of being a coach at the younger levels. It's like you tell a kid 100 times, do X. He nods at you and says, yes, we're doing X. And then he goes out in the field and he does Z. And you're like, when did we say Z?
Well, it goes back to, like, I've heard this said before, a lot in baseball, like coaches, they get too much, like, maybe too much criticism when their team loses a game, and not enough credit maybe when they win. Not all the time, but like you said, so much of that pie goes to the player's performance.
Mm-hmm. And it probably should in the professional level.
I think so.
Before we get out of here, we want to go over the schedule for tonight and what's going to be on the network for the evening. And we go and look at our games at a glance. And it will be a pretty good evening as we have a little bit of a lull. 2 games on the network, the Palomino games, the Game 5 and Game 6 of the Palomino series. And then tomorrow, Scotty, is when we get serious because there's going to be, like I said, over 60 games between Thursday and Sunday in the NABF 16U and 18U World Series down at Scene Park.
Is there a game or a few games that you're really like you have your eye on?
I'm just, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Astro Falcons compete in this World Series. Obviously, they're still waiting to see if they can win the Class B championship because that's been delayed until after the NABF. So it's going to be fun to see how they kind of manage that because Monday comes and they have a championship series game against Creekside. So what if they have to make a decision on Sunday on if we pitch this guy, he's not available tomorrow for that championship series game, yada, yada, how do we handle that? What do they put more weight in? It's going to be really fun to see how they manage that dynamic.
And that goes back to what you said in a recent discussion we had on the show. It's like you say that if you have the opportunity, like you're always going to throw your best pitcher no matter what, right, if it was you. But not everybody thinks that way. They're thinking,
this is different because this is like as if you went to win a World Series and then the day after you had to win a World Championship, right? So you got back-to-back like high caliber, high pressure championship games that are separate from each other. That's why it's going to be interesting decisions.
Yeah. And we'll see. I'm sure these, like the teams, I think everybody has nerves at this point, but it'll be interesting to see after those first couple innings if how clean the baseball is and if there's errors and sloppy play. But you would think with such high impact, high stakes games that these coaches, the managers, leave no stones unturned.
No stones unturned, and hey, if they can win an NABF and win the Class B championship, that would be a wonderful week to cap off that summer. So we'll keep our eyes on that as the week goes on. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully Ty's feeling better tomorrow as we'll go from 12 to 2 again. We're going to take a 22-hour break. Scotty, thanks as always for joining us on a Wednesday, and especially this Wednesday for being my sidecar and kind of being that reliever when Ty needs it.
Yeah, I'm the backup QB, but I like to think I'm a guy that could still win it. I'm like Nick Foles. I could come in and still win this.
Who do you think the best backup? Whoever the best backup right now is, that's you. I mean, you're not even a backup because you come in and play with us. You're like the wide receiver that can also play quarterback when we need him to. That's what you are.
Yeah. That's
you know what you are. You're Taysom Hill from the Saints. You can play quarterback if we need you to, but you can also go and play everywhere else.
I like that versatility.
I'm gonna get you a Taysom Hill jersey.
That's what I'm all about. I would love that. I love the Saints colors.
I do too, man. I got the Michael Thomas jersey myself, so I like the Saints color scheme.
That's real black and gold, not what the Squealers fans say.
Hey, don't say that too loudly. We have some Steelers fans in the studio. They might come at you.
I just had to get one shot.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. We'll see you tomorrow on Running Point, brought to you by